to week 2 of questions and answers, where I'm just taking a look at some of the questions that you guys have submitted to me. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right into it and get to some more of your questions. First one, it says this: what do you like to do during the winter? My answer, I guess, my favorite thing to do during the winter is play hockey. Now the problem with moving to Iowa and playing hockey is that it's like 35 to 40 degrees every day in the winter, or every other day, and so there's no ice, which means you don't really get to play hockey. So that's kind of a bummer, but it's still my favorite thing to do when I can. Do you love being a part of Revision Church? I love being a part of Revision Church. I moved down here so I could be with Mike and Graham, Kiana and Courtney, because they are just awesome people. I love working with them and I love what we're doing as a church, just helping people meet Jesus and follow him fully. I love that. Can you do an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression? Isn't that the one impression that everyone on earth can do? All you have to really do is get louder and louder and talk about your muscles and tell people to get to the chopper! I'm just yelling loud! So yeah, I guess I could do one, but let's see if I can do a little quieter one, like one from this clip.
I have a headache.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor at all.
I have a headache.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor at all. Jeff, do you remember when you did the green screen thing for that video when you were gone? I do remember that. Have you done any other cool stuff with the green screen? As a matter of fact, I have. Did I hear someone call for help? Think we got it? You and Grant should play Chubby Bunny. It's not even a question. That sounds like a bad idea. It sounds like I'm just gonna choke on a bunch of marshmallows and die. Sounds like a terrible idea. Whatever. Hey, Grant! Alright, let's do this. You first? Me first? Chubby Bunny.
Chubby bunny.
Chubby Bunny.
This sucks. Chubby bunny!
Chubby Bunny.
Chubby bunny.
This is an easy game. Chubby Bunny.
Oh yeah? Chubby bunny! That is disgusting.
Chubby Bunny.
Chubby bunny. That one's coming out. They're sticky. Don't die, Josh.
Chubby Bunny.
Uh-oh. Don't die.
Chubby Bunny. You got it. Chubby. You are the worst at Chubby Bunny. Seriously? Do you remember the scariest moment of your life? Yeah. I don't really want to go down this road. It's scary. I don't really want to talk about it, but I guess I do remember. It's just kind of creepy and weird. It seems like just yesterday. I mean, they're just walking down the street and all of a sudden this guy just pulls out of nowhere and this truck and How to get a truck? think I lost him. Down to our last question. So sad. It says, can I invite my friends to church, and how do I do that so it's not weird? That's a good question. I would say, well, one, can you invite your friends to church? Yes, absolutely. I endorse that completely. And second, how do you do it so it's not weird? No, just ask. I know it seems maybe too simple or kind of weird because not everyone talks about church all the time at school or wherever you guys are, but promise, if you just go up to someone and say, hey, do you want to come to my youth group on Wednesday? It's a lot of fun. They aren't going to think you're a weird, crazy psycho, I promise. And I think it's important that we do invite our friends to youth group and invite them to church because, to be honest, it could be really one of the only times that they do get a chance to come to church and to meet Jesus. And that's the most important thing. It's a lot of fun to read through the Bible and look at some of the New Testament missionaries who just spend their entire lives preaching the gospel to people. I mean, these guys dedicate their entire lives making sure that everyone that they encounter knows about Jesus and what that means for the world. And they knew that the message that they were sharing with people, it was life-changing, it was eternity-shifting, it was just world-changing news. And the coolest part, I think, or one of the coolest parts about reading through and reading about the stories of these New Testament missionaries is knowing that we have the same God and the same message that they had back then. I know that it can be kind of scary inviting your friends or talking about Jesus with other people because you don't really know what they're going to say. You don't know if they're going to judge you or look at you a little differently or something like that. But let me assure you that that's okay. One of the missionaries that I'm talking about from the New Testament, his name is Paul. And he says this in Romans 1:16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel because it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes. And I think this is a really cool statement by Paul because before Paul became a Christian, he was this guy who persecuted and hated Christians. But then one day Jesus, he grabbed a hold of him and changed his life in a way that made Paul just want to share this good news of Jesus with everyone and anyone that he saw. And Paul, he isn't ashamed of the gospel, and I don't think that we should be either. But then again, as much as I tell you guys that you shouldn't be ashamed and you should invite your friends and it's really not that big of a deal, I think you're still thinking to yourself, all right, Jeff, it's easy enough for you to say, but it's still a scary thing. And I'll be the first to admit that it's still a little nerve-wracking to invite people to church. I've invited a bunch of people to church before, but yeah, that feeling still, I guess, hasn't gone away totally. But what I do want to encourage you, even though you might still feel a little nervous, it's never, ever, ever as bad as you think it's going to be. Because sometimes we just get this idea that inviting someone to church is terrifying. We build it up in our head to make it something that's so much scarier than it really is. We think it's going to look something like this. Hey man, I was wondering if you wanted to come to my church with me next Wednesday. It's super fun. You should join us.
What? Church? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding! No!
But I'm going to be honest, in reality, there's really only 3 different responses that you're going to get if you invite someone to church. Hey Grant, how's it going?
Oh, hey.
I was wondering if you wanted to come to my church next Wednesday.
I'm actually busy, so sorry.
Alright. Hey Grant, how's it going?
Oh, hey. What's going on?
I was thinking, you should really come to my church next Wednesday. I'd love to have you.
Okay, I'll think about it. Maybe.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how's it going?
I was thinking you should try coming to my church next Wednesday.
Okay.
You see, it's really not that scary. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. To show you that it's really not that scary, I'm going to go find someone that I've never met before and invite them to church to show you that it's not that big of a deal. Mustafa?
Yeah.
I'm Jeff.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to invite you to revision. We meet on Sunday mornings at 5 Elementary, just up the school.
Okay.
And so it's got kind of some information on the back, and if you want to check us out, we'd love to see you on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Mustafa. Have a good one. You see, it's really not that scary. If I can go out and invite a stranger like Mustafa to revision, which I really hope he does come. He was an awesome guy. Hope I see him on Sunday. But if I can go out and invite a stranger to revision, you can invite some of your friends. It really wasn't that scary. And Pastor Mike, he talked a couple weeks ago, he issued the 4x4 challenge, where he wanted us to invite 4 different people, 4 different times to come to church. And what I want to do, I want to issue that challenge for us at Revive. I think we could find 4 different friends that we could invite 4 different times to come. And that doesn't mean they're going to come every time, but I think that we should kind of start getting in the habit of inviting people because, again, it's not as scary as you think, I promise. And the reason I guess that I'm talking so much about inviting your friends is because this topic, it really hits home for me. Because if I wasn't invited to church when I was in high school by a good friend of mine named David, then I wouldn't be sitting here right now. No, just poof, gone. This would be a pretty lame video of Grant's garage if I didn't get invited to church, but thank God I did, and here I am. See, being invited to church, it changed my life in a way that may not have happened if David didn't have the courage to come up to me in homeroom and say, hey, do you want to come to my church on Wednesday? It's awesome. And from that moment on, I went to church and I heard this guy named Pastor Mike preach and met some cool people like Grant and Kiana, and from there my relationship with Jesus started to grow. And from that point on, my life changed forever. And that wouldn't have happened if David didn't invite me. And so my hope is that we'll be a bunch of Davids and we'll be able to go around and invite some of our friends to church. And that's my challenge, the 4x4 challenge, is that we can go out and we can invite our friends so that they have a chance to encounter Jesus in a life-changing and eternity-shifting way. And so that one day when they're looking back on their life, they'll think of you and they'll thank you for being brave enough and being their friend enough to come up to them and just say, hey, you want to come to church with me? And this isn't just about numbers. I don't want you to get that idea that I'm just telling you to invite your friends because I want to pack out the house and have a big party every week. That's not what this is about. I want you to invite your friends because, well, last week we talked about putting our belief into action. And I think what better way to do that than to invite our friends and share that joy and love of Jesus with them. And hopefully because of that, they'll have a life-changing encounter with Jesus, and inviting them is the first step in that. I want you all to be like my friend David, who invited me to church, because it really could help change someone's life. The last thing I would ever want in the world is for something like a little fear to get into the way of an invitation. I mean, Grant and I showed you, it's not as scary as you think. You want to know what scary is? It's getting chased down by some weird-looking bearded guy in a truck. I mean, that's real scary. My greatest desire is that you and your friends would meet Jesus and follow him fully, period. And so this week, I guess my challenge is that we would put our belief into action, and we would take the 4x4 challenge. And then hopefully, your friends can encounter and meet Jesus in a way that changes their lives forever and reshapes eternity. I mean, how cool does that sound? Ready? Go.